We are looking at a Zeppelin. This is an honest-to-God Zeppelin, both in the sense that has a rigid frame on the inside, but also in the sense that this was made by the Zeppelin company in Germany, the same company that's been in existence since 1908. They didn't build airships that entire time, but in the late 1990s, they got the urge to do a new technology ship. This is a Zeppelin NT. The main difference between a Zeppelin and a blimp is a rigid internal frame. This allows us to mount the engines high up on the side where it keeps the cabin quiet. You can really enjoy, have a conversation, move about, and you don't have engine noise inside the gondola. It also provides fantastic maneuverability. If you look at the rear of the ship, we have an aft engine, and that allows us to keep the ship on the ground without a large amount of ground handlers. The old ships, the Macon, the Akron, the Hindenburg, the Graf Zeppelin, had hundreds of people on the ground for takeoff and landing, and yet we can do it with a handful. So this ship is meant to do multiple roles. We can carry a camera with it. We've done research with NASA and with SETI. But our main purpose in bringing this ship here was to bring the experience, the joy of airship travel for people to experience for themselves. It's the first time that there's been a passenger operation of this size in the United States since the 1930s.
Well, I've always wanted to fly a Zeppelin. I mean, ever since I knew what an airship was, and ever since they redeveloped the new Zeppelin. I fell into airships quite by chance, right place, right time, and loved it. From the very first time I flew in one, in a little blimp in England. To train to fly a Zeppelin is fairly complicated. You have to have a minimum of a commercial pilot's license and at least 1,000 hours pilot in command before they will even consider training you on a Zeppelin. And even then, if you have no airship experience, it will take 9 months to a year to train, because there's so much with an airship that you can't teach. You have to experience it. There's so many different techniques for taking off and landing at different weights and with different wind and weather conditions. You have to experience each condition really before you are proficient at it. Technically flying it, the hardest part is the landing really. Logistically though, it's really two things. Interpreting the weather from the Zeppelin point of view, from the airship point of view. Forecasts, aviation forecasts, are not written for something this slow and this light. So we have to really look into the weather far more fully than anyone else. Plus we're taking passengers, and we want everyone who comes on the Zeppelin to have a wonderful experience. We don't want to take them up in rain or strong winds when it's bumpy, even though we can technically maybe fly it ourselves in those conditions. Well, look at the view from my office. That, and of course, all I get to do with Airship Ventures, of course, we take passengers. So all day long I get to see happy, excited people, and that can't help but put you in a good mood.